So it's 12 o'clock. I suggest to start. And actually for our session today, we have 2 hours. So very warm welcome from myself and the faculty to join our conference today, and especially policy of session of youth policy challenges. In today's session, we have 4 presentations. One presenter, John Brower, canceled his presentation this morning, so we have half an hour for each presentation, and I suggest to have 20 minutes for the presentation and 10 for the discussion. If we have some time left, we can discuss at the end some recommendations probably for the policy makers. And my pleasure to invite Jolanta Grotowska-Leder from Warsaw University of Life Sciences to present her work on paths to reaching adulthood of contemporary Polish young adults. Please, Jolanta, the floor is yours. And
nice to meet you. Thank you very much for invitation for this interesting conference. Let me say some words about me. My affiliation is on the slide, but I would like to tell that my interest of research is of contemporary social problems. I am sociologist and I conducted research between sociology and social policy. I am interested in poverty, unemployment, especially youth unemployment, and my last project, which result I will present some part of results is on the situation of a special category, young adults. We have short mistake in the title of the conference. It is the result, the end of the title. This is the result of that we copy the title, so it's a problem. I think that in the discussion of social policy, it is important also to put our attention to the special category of young people. I would like to speak about young adults. This is the category between youth and adults. I think that this is important category if we think about such nowadays processes like lengthening of education, like the regulation of labor market, and the process of individualization. I think that this category is very important and require to diagnosis because this is the category which I tell that this is demographic potential. These young people, this is the best cohort from procreation. This is also socioeconomic potential because they are in the period of building the foundation of existence and economic independence. And they are also intensive consumer of goods and services. And this is also civilization potential, because they are highly educated and innovative. So I think that it's important to put the attention of this category. Maybe this way. I try to change the slide. It's not moving.
I can stay here and move.
Okay. The scope of my analysis will be some attention on the new stage of life cycle, the transition into adulthood, and I would present the paths of young pools to adulthood in the context of the implementation of rules and of an adult and the role of resources in this process. I think about informal family resources and resources available under public policies. My presentation is on the results of the project Public Policies for Completed Adulthood in Poland, which was financed by the National Center for Science. The project team consists of researchers from Warsaw University of Life Sciences and University of Łódź. Please, next. The main objective of the project was to expand the knowledge about the influence of institutional and policy instruments of the young Poles' transitions into adulthood. We were testing of the hypothesis starting that Poland lacks a coherent social policy scheme aimed at framing the transitions into adulthood. The project was conducted between 2015 and 2020. The project consists of 6 research tasks. I will present the results of the last 2 tasks. Use strategies from completed adulthood and mapping public policies for completed adulthood. Some words about the research. The project is multi-method study employing. We used a secondary analysis of existing data, like statistics, different documents, and also a critical review on scientific literature on social policy models, life course policy models, the concepts of young adults and completed adulthood. But mostly, we used qualitative methodology. First of all, FGI and IDI conducted in purposely selected group of the young living in big cities, small towns, and foster care leavers. We asked and we conduct the interviews with 1986 cohorts. And this is the young people which was 18 years old in 2004, the year of Poland entering the EU. When we started the project in 2015, our interviewers were about 30 years old. Something about, please, next. Something, the main theoretical background. The theoretical background consists of 4 concepts. The concept of institutionalized life course, the concept of life course policy, life course regime, the constructionist approach to social policy, and the concept of young adults and completed adulthood. We use the concept of institutionalized life course by Koltai, which stressed that a set of rules which make individual biographies predictable, being a tool in the process of setting and reproducing social order in the society organized around paid work. From the concept of life course policy and life course regime, we use the statement that the set of instruments purposely addressing to structure of the life course, both with the intention to change and with no intention to change. From the constructionist approach to social policy, according to the constructionist approach to social policy, we use the development and implementation of policy measures depends to a large extent on the knowledge and interpretations of social reality shared by policy actors and users. Political decision makers manipulate social constructs in building their political base through redistribution of resources of the welfare support of the welfare state. Support benefits granted to social groups deserving to them, but of significant political importance. And the last concept, the concept of young adults and completed adulthood. In our project, we defined young adults as a social category being formed by specific policies, institutions, legal regulations, and by the strategies in which they cope with the challenges implicit in such structures and institutions in historical period. They are both. Young adults are both objects determined by external conditions and socialization, as well as actors managing their agreements of life. We concentrate our attention in a special period in a biography, the period between adulthood and adolescence and adulthood. Nowadays, the transitions into adulthood from adolescence to adulthood is treated in the new stage of life. In modern society, life cycle was defined normatively The cycle was organized around professional work, educational, professional work, economic and independence, marriage and parenthood, followed chronically. People reach full adulthood around the same time. They finish education, got a job, started a family. In the postmodern society, life cycle characterizes the standardization, the institutionalization, and dechronalization. Because the increasing dynamics of life make it predictable, uncertain, and beyond human control. Social actors nowadays must seek for new forms of agency and resourcefulness. These changes are particularly evident between the stages of adolescence and adulthood. The increasing time of education and building professional competences result in young people postponing life decisions regarding stable unemployment, long-term partner relationship, and parenting, having a child. This new stage of life, the stage of transition into adulthood, is defined in different ways in the literature of the subject, like post-adolescence, young adulthood, emerging adulthood, and also completed adulthood. The last name, completed adulthood, is defined as a process to cumulate the implementation of key social task expected of an adult and the achievement of an adult identity. If we think about the implementation of key social tasks expected of an adult, so it is necessary to define the adulthood. I will present the criteria of adulthood. There are two approaches of defining adulthood: the objective classic approach and the subjective approach. In the objective approach, adulthood means fulfilling social roles normatively assigned to adults. It is named as Big Five roles, and they are completing education and or professional qualifications, taking a permanent jobs, leaving the family home and living independently, setting up own household and creating a family. Building a lasting, intimate relationship, getting married or partnered, and having children. In subjective approach, adulthood means being an adult and confirmed by defining oneself as an independent person, being responsible for oneself and for loved ones and for the choices she makes. If we think about the transition into adulthood in perspective of social, only two, social policy, we can notice that the support of the process of reaching adulthood requires a life course regime. That means more or less coherent action within the framework of public policies subordinated to the concept of the life course in the relation to such phase of life. Now I think we needed a broader approach, not only to think about the process of becoming an adult focused of the initial stage of transition to adulthood, like the transition from education to labor market, but also we need to focus on the whole stage of achieving adulthood. One more, in the concept of life course policy, young people are usually defined as people between 15 and 24, but today the transition to adulthood is getting longer, so the cohort 25-34 should be also included in the analysis of the process. Let's see some information about the situation of young Poles in the light of statistics. We use the situation in for public policies: education, labor market, housing situation, and family situation. But first of all, we we distinguish and we study the pathways in the adulthood of young adults in Poland. We distinguished 4 paths of into adulthood of young adult Poles. The first is completed adulthood. It is realized by fully adult. We name this part of our young adult interviewers. The second, let's see the characteristics of this distinguished pathways. The second was career-oriented adulthood. This is professionally progressive singles. And the last 2, unstable adulthood. The young people, they are struggling with adulthood. And the last, unhurt adulthood. This is young people still enter experimenting. Please, next. We also did mapping Polish public policy for young adults in 4 of public policies: education policy, employing policy, housing policy, and family policy. And maybe let's see. I will conclude the information, the result. The paths of transition to adulthood of young Poles are diverse. They are located between the implementation of the normative pattern of life course characteristic of modern society and the pursuit of autonomy and self-fulfillment. They are the resultant of individual life choices, the impact of structural factors, and available instruments within the framework of public policy. Young Poles are aware of the task related to the fulfillment of basic social roles, professional and family, but their striving for self-fulfillment is limited by the existing socioeconomic conditions. The paths document the delay in transition to full adulthood, which threatens the building of the demographic and economic potential of society. Young Poles are supported mainly by family resources, family capital in conducive to transformation to adulthood. And the last slide. Social policy in Poland is weakly subordinated to the policy of transition into adulthood, does not define the problem of the delayed process of entering adulthood and the category of young adults. It does not directly problematize this phenomena. Existing legal regulations and instruments selectively support young people in the areas important for the organization of life at this stage of biography. The situation of young people is quite narrowly defined, narrowly treated in terms of public problem within the meaning of the institutional agenda. A smart part of public policy instrument is directly addressed for people aged 25-34. The instruments addressed to young people are not coordinated, which will not be conducive to alleviating the demographic crisis as a consequence, problems in the labor market and in the pension system may intensify. And really, last, not, and once more. So, yeah, this is the book which presents all the results of the project. It is in English and it is on online. We can use it. Open access. Open access. Thank you very much, but you will tell me that I will have a bit more time for presentation online. So
yeah. So thank you very much, Jolanta, for a very interesting presentation. And actually, it's very close to what I do since 10 to 15 years. So it sounds very, familiar with me. And now I am opening floor for one or two questions, comments, some, I don't know, suggestions for the policymakers. Please. Are there any questions?
Dainis, Mykolas Romeris University, Lithuania. My question is about the project you mentioned and more particularly about the first task for this project. You mentioned that the first task focused on critical analysis of social policy models from one hand, and from another hand, transition to adulthood. Could you please provide more details about main findings of this critical analysis literature concerning social policy regimes or models, and what are the similarities, differences, what kind of typology you used for this analysis, etc. Thank you.
It's a big question.
Yes, sure.
Yeah, but we think if we think about social policy, since the 80s, two concepts of social policy have been introduced. The first, subject-oriented social policy, which means that instruments are addressed to groups in need of support. If we use the life course-oriented policy, instrument of social policy shape the individual phases of citizens' life. As I shortly told, if we use life course-oriented concept to the period of biography transition into adulthood, we observe in the when we analyze the literature, we observe that the concept means the concept is used in the first period of the process of transition into adulthood. It's from education to work, or it is around family, families. So it means family regime. But we state that in the concept of life course regime relevant to the process of becoming an adult need to broader perspective, the perspective using the situation of the young in education, in the labor market, and also in the possibility to organize their own household. It means it's very important. It is one of the most important result of our research. It is very important to organize one's flat. It's a really difficult situation for young people in Poland to organize own flat. Of course, the result of it is the problem of setting up families and deciding to have a child. So we conclude that it is necessary to study all this the situation of the young in all these fields of life, and we conclude that it is important the coordination between these four public policies. When we research different formal acts, different strategies, each acts of and regulation, legal regulation in each of these areas are different. There is not coherent. So the result is that of course, our research, the results of our research are not representative because we distinguish paths of reaching adulthood. But it is very important that only one of these distinguished paths, it's completed adulthood. So the young realize all rules important for the society and, of course, for these young people. It's enough?
Thank you very much, Jolanta, for so comprehensive answer. And I suggest to move to the next presenter, which is online. It's Maria-Carmen Pantea from Babes-Bolyai University. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing wrong. And she will talk about the reinforced youth guarantee, a preliminary review. So we try to move. And can you hear Jolanta?
Yes.
Can you hear us?
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much, Rūta. And I'm very grateful for being invited to this conference. I really appreciate the opportunity to be part of this. My name is Maria-Carmen Pantea. I come from Babes-Bolyai University. You are not the only one struggling with this name. I'm going to present a paper that draws on a research carried out on behalf of Eurofound. Is there any possibility to have the slide shared, or shall I?
Yes, you can try to share. Just use the bottom at the right side. At the right side, yeah. Or if we can try share from the auditorium if you prefer. But it should be okay.
Okay, thank you. Just a bit,
because
I understand.
Okay.
Okay, the research was carried out on behalf of Eurofound in this summer. Eurofound is going to publish a book on the youth transitions after the pandemic. It draws on statistical data they carried out. My contribution was related to a policy chapter that captures the recent updates related to this policy instrument that is around in Europe since 2013, but reinforced in the context of the pandemic as of 2020. Can you see the slide?
Not yet. Could you please open and start share? Because we see your screen, but not slides.
Sorry, my understanding was that as I sent the slides, you are going to share them from your computer. I do apologize for that.
Do that.
Can you see them now?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. So the work was carried out over the summer.
Maria, if you don't mind, could you please make full screen? Just press F5.
Yes. Okay.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. The research looked into the updates related to the reinforced youth guarantee with the idea of gaining new insights on how this policy is unfolding. The project was based on 17 interviews carried out in Europe with members of the Public Employment Service Network, with national reinforced youth guarantees coordinators, experts and academics from 10 countries. I'm very grateful to Rūta for helping me out with this adventure in the sense of providing information for Lithuania as a member of the European Knowledge Center on Youth Policies. The main understanding behind the reinforced youth guarantee dates back to the 80s, where the policy measure was implemented in Nordic countries. Then the concept evolved and was embraced at the European level, with having in 2013 the youth guarantee as a policy measure adopted by all countries as a commitment to make all young people at the time under the age of 25 receive a good quality offer of employment, education, apprenticeship, or training within 4 months after being unemployed or leaving education. As of 2020, the youth guarantee was reinforced in the sense of extending the age range until 29-30, and in having a more proactive approach in relation to the long-term situation of not being in employment, education, or training. So these are actually the main elements that are making the reinforced youth guarantee a different and yet the same approach. I will now map the first 4 components of the policy and incorporate some of the findings from our interviews. The first part of the measure as it stands right now involves the mapping of the groups that are of high risk of entering NEET situations and which are usually off the policy radar. And here we speak about young people belonging to the several minorities, young people with disabilities, or those outside the policy spectrum as we know it. Also, the reinforced youth guarantee asks states to map the services that are available and the skills that are being needed. What is important for the youth guarantee as it is that it's not normative in the sense of not prescribing states what measures to take, but rather it's output oriented in the sense of allowing different regions even and states to find the best ways to reach, to engage, and to offer young people education, employment, or training. However, the interviews highlighted that the scale of young people not in education, employment, or training phenomenon is better to be assessed at regional level. As Francisco Simoes well said in the morning, we have these regional divides and regional dynamics that make youth unemployment higher in a country that might stand out as one of the countries with the lowest rate of needs. So it's important to have this regional dimension factored in when thinking about young people not in education or training. The outreach involves identification of young people at risk of entering NEET situation and promoting the offer of and the concept of the youth guarantee to them. This process is involves culturally competent ways of reaching those that are usually not involved in relating to state institutions or who are the hard to reach. So this is where the commitment to reaching the hard to reach comes into the reinforced youth guarantee. Of course, there is the positive experience of Finland, which is having for years this one-stop guidance centers that are highly successful in engaging young people in ways that are culturally competent, youth-friendly, participatory, and so on. France more recently moved to a strategy that is located at the municipality level and which has this one person, one solution plan that involves counseling by the local public employment services in ways that are youth-friendly. Outreach involves asks youth workers to have a stronger commitment to the employability project, and this is where several criticisms might emerge in the sense of having youth work used for activities that are not at its hardcore. So having youth workers involved in an employability project at a time where Europe is facing a crisis of civic participation and activism and also radical movements emerging. So we have an unsolved tension in having youth workers involved in this, according to the interviews that I carried out. The a main divide between the countries that are involved in the reinforced youth guarantee is the capacity of the public employment services in catering to this non-bureaucratic, youth-friendly and culturally competent way of reaching and involving young people. A question rises if the public employment services in different countries are prepared to reach and engage the young people that experience severe disadvantage as the reinforced youth guarantee aims to. Then there is this stage of preparation that covers the transition from registration as unemployed to the start of the offer, where the individual needs and profiles and interests are being mapped and discussed, and where individualized action plans are agreed between the young person and an officer, usually from the public employment services. There is a comprehensive and holistic support being provided here, and commitment to offer the services that are needed for making young people employable in as little as 4 months. And here is where another unsolved tension might arise, as the political commitment is for having preparation done and insertion in the labor market in as little as 4 months, which is unrealistic for some groups, yet realistic for others. According to the interviews, it is most likely that 4 months timeline works for the young people that are not that much disadvantaged in the sense of being occasionally not in education, employment, or training, and for whom a work-first approach might be feasible. However, in the situations where the young people have a problem in relation to the labor market, but on the top they have severe family issues, they have problems related to mental health, single motherhood, homelessness, disabilities, addictions, and so on, it might well be that other interventions might be needed, and also an open door for gradually lower level of intervention, but still a process of mentoring and supporting the young person once in employment. And this might be extended, according to some practitioners, to as long as 2 years for almost 30% of the young people not in education, employment, or training. So a message from practitioners is that if we are serious about reaching the hard to reach and involving the long-term unemployed in the labor market, it might well be that other interventions than the ones focused on employability purposes might be needed. Another issue that is important in the preparation stage refers to the statistical profiling, which seems to be a practice in quite a few countries, and this involves statistical data gathering in ways that make interventions likely to discern between the high risk and the medium and the low risk of unemployment for several categories. However, whilst this statistical profiling might be instrumental for budgetary reasons and for channeling the effort of the public employment services for certain groups more than for others because of legitimate needs. However, there are some criticisms related to misclassifications, the reinforcement of discrimination, and also the strength of this statistical profiling is in predicting the outcomes, but yet less in predicting what works for whom. So it's not actually supporting the intervention itself, but it's rather a projection of the probability for reaching a certain outcomes with persons that belong to a certain group, which definitely might entail some ethical risks as well. There is a policy focus also on assessing the digital skills, language skills, and having this career management approaches incorporated in preparation. Whilst for digital skills, it appears that the assessment reaches a higher level than initially presumed from the young people not in education, employment, or training. The public employment services confess there is a kind of general uncertainty in relation to what green skills are really about, whilst they do acknowledge the commitment to greening and to the to having a move to the green economy. However, there is less information on what type of skills are needed, what a green job would look like, and what green companies ultimately are about. The offer refers to the unemployment benefits and the usual active labor market measures surrounding the youth guarantee as it was in place since 2013, job search assistance, training, subsidized employment, startup subsidies, but also support for mobility and some job retention schemes that have been in place in the context of the pandemic. It emerges that many countries tend to go to conditionalities, so they link the provision of unemployment benefits to certain behaviors that are socially encouraged. And the question raises to what extent employment is ultimately a viable option for the young people in the context of a general trend towards more precarious employment being available around, especially at the basis of the occupational pyramid where the young people that are a target for these policies are likely to be situated. So we do have a problem in making employment a viable options, especially for young mothers, for instance, or for young people that live remotely and who, as Francesco said in the morning, are likely to lose out in the highly competitive race for employment because of local unavailability of quality jobs. And the recovery and the resilience facility national plans being disproportionately focused on formal education at the expense of shorter trainings. And indeed, we have a trend for back-to-school approaches in countries like Sweden and Estonia, who recently raised the age of mandatory education to 18, and where the practice is for sending young people back to school to complete the mandatory education unless they are much older than the age of finishing school. And the practice of having second chance education in countries like Romania, where the evidence starts to build up in the sense of documenting the risk of doing more harm than good by placing in alternative second chance education young people who did not properly had the first chance education, and in where children and young people of different ages are being mixed up in ways that are not properly acknowledging the characteristics of their development and learning capacities. So to sum up, the reinforced youth guarantee sends a strong political signal on the young people, especially given that the fact that young people are not that much a group of concern for the recovery and resilience facility, where policies are not age-oriented or targeting specific vulnerable groups. And also it's important for having the concept of decent work, and I'm once again grateful to Francisco for highlighting this concept as a polar star for the policies on employment around Europe. It is important for the policy makers to perpetuate a discourse that reinforces work with conditions and not any work that should be available to the young people. It's important to counterbalance a culture of reporting good practice by also including experiences that don't really work in order to build up evidence in ways that are indeed meaningfully helpful for those practicing those in the practice of implementing the reinforced youth guarantee. We don't have clear employment indicators, but there are also many social issues around employment alone. So we might need some proper conceptualization of social measurements, and this is where difficulties arise. More jobs, but stronger concern for the quality of employment that is available, a stronger focus to measure the outcomes in relation to the territories and regions and not at national level alone, and the capacity of the public employment services to cater to this project. And the last question on a topic that is very dear to me in relation to what is youth work about in this project and what are the risks of mission drift in the employability project of the reinforced youth guarantee. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Maria, for a very interesting presentation. And now we have some time left for the questions, and also I invite online auditorium to ask questions. So please, are there any questions, comments?
Thank you very much. Is it working?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so the reinforced youth guarantee extended the age group of youth from 25 to 20. So do you see any experiences? How does it work? Or how the countries can implement different or the same measures for this older youth group?
Yes, thank you. It's a very pertinent question indeed. So the age was extended to 29, so this is 30s as a benchmark. Also in the context of COVID, making protracted transitions to the employment. So it emerged as a need in the context of the COVID, but some countries previously used to have 30 as the benchmark for their interventions. It's getting more complicated as people are getting older. It seems that on the other hand, it's easier to reach young people in the older age group, as it seems that at the age of finishing education, they might get lost from the data that is available in education or in the public employment services. And now they are coming back closer to the age of 30, yet with other problems that are associated, such as family issues and so on. And so it's indeed a difficulty that some countries report in relation to the complexity of the problems that are coming up once people get older, but in the same time, it's more facile to reach groups because of the age. But definitely, I've had interviews in country where people were completely out of the radar and very difficult to be tracked, especially given internal labor migration in Europe. So many are moving to work around, and they are outside the public employment services. Of course, another important issue I did not mention is the Matthew effect that comes into place in such policies, in the sense of having the countries with the lower NEET rates, having the public employment services better equipped in dealing with the problem, and then having the countries with more complex social problems not having capacity and the absorption rate that would make the reinforced youth guarantee a measure that is able to change things around. So there are issues of this type as well.
Thank you, Maria. We still have time for one question, if we have from the audience here or online. So if there are no questions, I would thank you, Maria, very much. And also, probably small comment. I know that work is still ongoing, but when it comes to recommendation or set of recommendations, could you provide or shed a bit light on that for us?
Yes, the purpose of the chapter was not to propose recommendations as such, and I always have I think ethical problems apart from not feeling competent enough to launch such statements. But one of the issues that is usually escaping from such processes is the value that practices that don't work have for informing policies and the activity of those that are in the field. And my finding is that people that are involved in implementing the reinforced youth guarantee are in so much need of having a safe platform for reporting what works and what does not work that much, in the sense of finding the best way to reach a group that is extremely challenging, if the commitment is for the young people that are in long-term unemployment. So this is where many efforts needs to be located. And also the youth policy making. So reinforced youth guarantee is a measure that links employment with the young people, which is so rare in the policy environments, especially given the recent recovery and resilience plans that are not that much able to or which don't really go to the young people as a group in itself. On the other hand, we have the policy home of for such policies being on the move. So youth ministries are being reconfigured. Labor ministry is a safer place, but still, if we are serious about the social issues that are around youth unemployment, then we need other stakeholders and other policy bodies around. So it's important to keep an eye on the way the policy measures addressing young people are on the move themselves, are on themselves in a transition, like the young people are in a transition as well. So institutions are learning and move, and the focus might change in time, and this is also something to consider.
Thank you very much. So we have no more time for this topic. So we are moving to the next presentation, and my pleasure is to invite Luca Koltai to present her work on evaluation of initiatives affecting 25 plus needs in 9 countries. Please, Luca, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. I hope you have my presentation.
Yes, we do.
Let's try to incorporate it. Okay. Okay. And we can just move to the next slide.
Yes, or you can sit here and I can move. It's fine.
It's okay. We can move it to the next slide.
Yeah.
Okay. So first, introduction. Next slide. I'm Luca Koltai. I work for HÉTFA Research Institute, and we did this research within a project called The Lost Millennials with my colleagues here. My organization is based in Budapest. We are an independent think tank organization, so we mainly do policy research and evaluation, and our project was also mainly about evaluations. So about the Lost Millennials project. The project was funded by the EEA Norwegian grant, as many others what we've heard about today. And we were focusing on older youth. So those youth who were older than 25 but under 30, it's quite a small age group of people. And we were focusing on those who are not in education or unemployment. Our main objective was to find initiatives which are targeting or dealing with this target group and evaluate them. The project has 12 countries, 12 member countries, but the initiatives were evaluated in 9 countries. So we did a transnational research network during this project. About evaluations, we've heard some things about evaluation by Francisco earlier today. So our approach was that evaluation is a systematic and objective assessment of projects, programs, or initiatives or policies. And as Francisco said, this can support evidence-based policy and also social investment. So if we would like to avoid a bad haircut of children living in rural areas, there are different measures to take. And with evaluations, we believe that we can support the decision makers, which measures are the most effective, what are the side effects of different measures. For example, giving the same haircut to every children in a rural area may have other problems, cause other unintended consequences. And maybe the costs and benefits can be measured, which one are the better investment. So evaluations, we believe, can support decision makers and the best use of public money. Next one. So we had 9 evaluations of different measures which are not targeting haircuts of rural youth, but targeting NEETs, 25 plus NEETs, and mainly employment policies, employment measures. There were 1 initiative were evaluated in every country, but these initiatives were very diverse. So they have different scopes. Some of them was local or regional, and some of them were national. Some of them were led by NGOs, and some of them was led by government programs or local programs, municipalities or regional governments. We've chosen initiatives which were mainly employment measures, combining different tools and support systems, but none of them were primary targeting 25 plus NEETs. So some of them were targeting youth, some of them were targeting different target groups of employment policies, and 25 plus NEETs were within those target groups. So they were not youth guarantee programs, they were different programs. And they had different activities, different categories of activities. So some of them were trainings, basic skills training or specific trainings or language skills trainings. And some of them had employment-related services like counseling, mentoring, career guidance, and some of them combined those measures. Our approach was built on the OECD recommendations and guidebooks on how to evaluate projects and programs, as they were mainly projects and programs. So we were assessing the relevance of the programs at first, to which extent these measures are suitable for the priorities and of the target groups and the recipients. Then we've also evaluated the effectiveness and how they attained their objectives. And we were also dealing with efficiency in relation to outputs and inputs. And we were also looking at impacts, positive and negative changes, long-term impacts, and also on sustainability on how these measures were likely to continue after the funding was gone away. The evaluations were using very different methods. So in every country, every evaluation was kind of different. They were using quantitative methods. Some of them were using big data, some of them were using smaller data sets. It was depending on the measure itself, the project itself. Some of them were using survey data, and lots of them also used qualitative measures, qualitative methods. For example, interviews, group discussions, interviews with beneficiaries and service providers. So about the results. The results of the evaluations, we tried to collect some similarities on the results and recommendations. In the longer term, we'd like to form them into policy recommendations, as we believe that the evaluations should serve decision making. So we believe that we are about to provide policy discussions in these evaluations and also policy recommendations. So one of the recommendations, which was also said earlier and also relevant to many evaluations and research, what we do on policy, that the most vulnerables are hardly reached. And even the biggest programs, for example, Youth Guarantee, and what was said just earlier, that the Youth Guarantee and big national or regional level programs are very hard to reach those who are most in need, those who are the hardest to reach. And the 25 plus NEETs target group, which is quite new to these programs, is not a primary target group, even though they have different needs, different service needs, and also different ways to reach them. So in many cases in the youth programs, this target group is invisible yet. So those who are dealing in this big program with this age group don't know what to do. They are very new to the program. And also the big programs are mainly dealing with registered unemployed. And many of this target group, the older youth, are long-term unemployed or long-term inactive, so they are not registered in many countries. In many countries, service providers are struggling with reaching them and make them to register. So about the service provision, it's very important that the service provision should be adaptable and individualized. So those services were most effective, which has a wide range of services, but can be individualized. So the individual needs can be matched during the service provision. And then about gender, which was also mentioned earlier, that this older age group of youth, gender is a bigger issue. So young mothers and young women are inactive in higher rates than men. So different measures and different supporting services needed for women of this age group. And many of the big programs are disregarding this. And many of the programs we've evaluated are disregarding this. So they have a set of services which are the same for women and men. And they likely have a target to have an equal share of women and men included in the programs. But that doesn't really mean that the services or the provision of services are different for women and men. So that means that the different subgroups of women and men are reached. So, for example, in Spain, more women would like to take part of online training, which was different than the trainings which were provided offline and personal. Or there were differences in care responsibilities which weren't really addressed during the service provision. So this should be taken into account in the future. The projects which we were evaluating were kind of smaller scale project, not the use guarantee, the big, the big mammoths in Europe, not the use guarantee. So these were filling the gaps in between big programs. They try to target those who are harder to reach and try to fit in those gaps and holes what the big projects didn't cover. So that means that they found some niche aspects with the service provision, but this doesn't automatically mean that they had connections with the big programs. So many times they were on their own doing what they are doing and not using those services what were available in the big programs. So these were mainly project-style implemented initiatives, which we were evaluating. And that means they had a beginning, they had an end, they had a project cycle, and which creates funding dependency. So they have to apply for funds over and over again, have to prove to the European Union that they are doing something new, something innovative. And this also means that the funding came with a set of indicators, a set of targets, which you have to meet because it is a project. So in sometimes it can derail a project or it can have a negative results, for example, skimming effects as involving those who were easier to become a result. So this also derails the projects to move to reach those who are easier to be helped, and also as a negative effect means that those who are most complex needs are left behind in these projects also. So thank you very much. That was.
Thank you, Luca. Perfectly on time. So now we have some time for the discussion. Please, Francisco.
Thank you, Luca, for the presentation. I have a question on the coordination between these projects and, let's say, the major programs led by public employment services, welfare state, etc. So you mentioned that there's a lack of coordination. Is that due to the fact that these organizations do not look for that connection, or that the state institutions do not promote that, or both? That's the first question, if you have any comments on that. And there was also something else that you mentioned regarding the lack of gender interventions. So the funding that these institutions receive brings attached often this requirement for being gender sensitive, and most of the times this is EU funding. So why in your opinion is this not reflected in the project's activities? And again, I would assume that this funding would also pressure in comas the institutions to coordinate with the public services, let's say. Can you comment on that too? I know it's a bit complex, but if you could comment, yeah, but thank you.
Okay, so we've evaluated measures in 9 countries, 9 totally different settings, and 9 totally different public employment services and regional government and this kind of stuff. So in some of the initiatives was run by regional governments, which is the PES is also run by them, so nearly the same organization, and they had obligations to work with each other, and they have the routines. In other countries, we had smaller scale, local or regional projects run by NGOs. And so there were big diversity of cooperation, but in many cases, for example, in Romania or in Hungary, NGOs and public employment services are working in different settings. Sometimes they help public employment service to register people, so they help to reach out. So reach out can be a big added value for both of these actors, but it happens not in a structured way, but with personal connections, working different in every village. And in many countries, those big public employment service programs doesn't really reach the smallest locations when the NGOs can enter. So the services won't go there, even there is a need. So there was a big diversity, and I think in both sides, I mean, the service providers, NGOs have a different way of work than the public employment service, and sometimes these meet in different occasions, but the structure, and sometimes it's just not neither in gender. Most of these projects were funded by the EU or private funders, so we also had private funders, and the gender seems to be gender mainstreaming is an important box to tick. But in many times it's just a box to tick. So when we did a lot of interviews with implementers, they said, yes, gender is very important. And, we would like to involve equal share of women and men. And when you say that, but look, there is a lot more women in this older age group within NEETs than men. So if you want to balance, you should involve more women in the program. So this is a learning process, I would say. So the targets are maybe there, the interest is there. So the question is there, what you should do something. They know that they should do something, but as they are starting the service provision, they are also like to meet the targets and also kind of generalize the services. So most programs are not directly targeting gender issues, and the services are provided in the same way. Some projects found out, so in some of the interviews, we also met that during the service provision, they found that there is a niche. For example, in the Hungarian case, the program involved an NGO which is working with lone mothers, lone parents, which are mainly women, and they became a partner after some time in the project, and they started to alter the service provision. For example, providing childcare in the trainings. So this is also a a learning process.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions, comments from online? So we don't have any questions. Probably we still will have some time for the discussion at the end. And I would like to invite Suat Aksu from Lithuanian Center for Social Sciences to present his presentation on empowering young women in rural entrepreneurship policy recommendations for Lithuania. So, Suat, the floor is yours, and
camera is here and they are watching us.
Yes, camera is here.
Okay.
Yes.
Second. There. I think visible. Hello, everybody. First of all, welcome to join our session. Thank you for joining this session. My name is Suat Aksu. I am a PhD student in Lithuanian Center for Social Sciences, and my topic is today empowering young women in rural entrepreneurship, policy recommendations and insights from Lithuania. So yeah, Lithuania has a friendly climate for women enterprise, and women have good chances of actively participating in labor market. And however, in these stages of entrepreneurial process, women have faced many challenges. So I would like to also give you some statistic about Lithuania. 30% of population in Lithuania living in rural areas, and 60% of places is farmland, and 85% area is considered as rural area in Lithuania. So it means that there is a huge potential in rural areas in Lithuania to consider for entrepreneurship. So yeah, I already mentioned about challenges. So what type of challenges do they have? Talent may be discouraged, isolation and distance to markets may limit business opportunities, especially for rural areas, and opportunities to build business expertise might be insufficient or difficult to implement. And also women in rural areas face challenges due to family life obligations, which limit their possibilities to seek professional careers and business development. And this is just a visualization of this comment that they receive. Wrong timing, don't do it, there's no market, you will go broke, it will never work. So when we consider about entrepreneurship, it's complicated process. So you should consider the finances, you should consider about your business, product, target group. So that's the reason sometimes people who wants to do entrepreneurship needs to think multiple way to start their business. That's the reason they have many challenges. So yeah, in this regard, this study aimed to understand the needs and challenges of faced by Lithuanian young women. This study advocates for the creation of policies, especially in 3 themes: supportive environments, providing supporting environment, bridging the digital gap, and promote gender mainstreaming. And yeah, let's look at the research question. First of all, how do societal norms and cultural expectations influence the career choices and entrepreneurial aspiration of young women in Lithuania? So why I ask this question, I try to analyze how their career choices and entrepreneurial mindset shape during selecting their careers or work opportunities. And the second question, what are the key needs and challenges of young Lithuanian women regarding entrepreneurship? What are the potential strategies that can be implemented to enhance the role of young women in rural entrepreneurship in Lithuania? Specifically, we did focus group interviews in this research, and that's the reason not all participants was from the rural areas, but they were interested to do entrepreneurship activities. So we discussed with them, and at the end, at the beginning, actually, rural entrepreneurship, huge potential in Lithuania, and we did critical reflection and policy recommendation about rural entrepreneurship precisely. So yeah, about theoretical framework of this study, it is better to understand, first of all, habitus by Bourdieu, which is people's experiences and socialization process really depends on what they interact with the environment and what they living, what kind of environment that they live. So to understand their socialization process and experiences will be very important. How they shape their career and entrepreneurial mindset. And about intersectionality, yes, in this research there is gender issues, rural residency, age. These are different identities. And to combine these all identities show us a different kind of challenges that we should consider in intersectionality. And the last one, feminist standpoint theory. So as we know from the feminist theory, women has, especially in rural studies, women has more, let's say, unpaid jobs like caring and family obligations compared to men's. So men considers more paid works. But in this feminist standpoint theory, we try to understand how women understand or put themselves from the understanding of the society. So yeah, after that I can explain my methodology. And yes, we did focus group interviews with youth. Youth workers was facilitator on this sessions, and young women was participant. And we did quite a good number of young women to discuss. 40 young women and five youth workers managed these focus group sessions, and I did content analysis after youth workers provide reports, because the conversations was Lithuanian and I don't know Lithuanian. Yeah, but the youth workers provide an English report after analyze these sessions, and I did an analysis about these reports. So I will explain in my demography, and you will see maybe better. So yeah, the participant 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are youth workers. So in this research, 5 youth workers involved from different parts of Lithuania. Not many, but 2 cities, mainly Kaunas and Kaišiadorys. And we managed 8 sessions, which, I mean, each youth workers manage the different number of focus groups with young women. And in total, 40 young women involved in this data collection process. And the background of people, I mean, facilitators was youth workers, and they were working on mainly public bodies and non-governmental organizations. And at the end, we created 8 reports. So I would like to also mention about how we conducted these focus group interviews. I mean, we may consider these focus groups are a bit flexible, but to make it more precise, we select a specific methodology, which is coaching circle methodology. We use U theory of Otto Schermer, which is encouraging peer conversation, not only moderator asking question to the audience and try to open this discussion, but also make them feel them free to open their own discussion as well. So yeah, which is very useful to make peer discussion among young women and understand their experience more. And this is just briefly maybe, each session was between 60 and 75 minutes, and there are 8 parts of this coaching circle sessions that we are going step by step to ask their experiences. So yeah, after I analyzed it, these are the themes and categories that I come up with. So let's go one by one. This is the main structure that you can see. So yeah, first of all, societal pressure. I can just put the keywords what they discuss during these focus group sessions. So when we consider their experience, this societal pressures coming into front in terms of stereotypes, expectation from parents, and lack of multifaceted career guidance. So first of all, young women has many options that they can go for their future career or entrepreneurship journey, but they have some challenges or maybe limitation by their families. They have some expectations, families, some expectation from them. And also there are some stereotypes that, as I mentioned about this feminist standpoint theory, women have some roles in societies and their environment pushing them to do. So that reason they cannot open their mindset for entrepreneurship to think more, to create value, what they dream or what they're passionate about it. And at the end of each session, we also created a motto, when we ask the participant, what are the common sense, what are the common point that you want to overcome these challenges. And especially for societal pressures, they stated that making brave choices to create brave personality. So they want to be more brave to step forward to make their dreams come true, but these are the pressure that they have. Yeah, as a second theme, entrepreneurship mentality. So as I mentioned at the beginning, to be an entrepreneur, first of all, you have a mentality to going on that process because it's complicated. As I also show you in the beginning of the visual, you will see some feedbacks from that you are coming from society, like toxic feedbacks, environment, and motivation to work. I can put these concepts to understand, to easier understanding for entrepreneurship mentality. So when young women or anyone wants to start their business, they face with toxic feedbacks and they need environment to support and motivation to work. If they are not coming from from environment, they have many challenges to continue their entrepreneurship mindset. And again, to overcome this challenge, young women say that improve your skills to convert into a business idea. So skill development is very important on that process to overcome these challenges. So here I put another theme as challenges in general, especially financial terms. Why they don't want to go entrepreneurship in terms of why they don't want to start, because they feel not secure. Selecting going to university or selecting a job that they can work in a public body or any other companies more secure. They have more fixed income, but in entrepreneurship there are risks that they should consider. So that reason, these are personal challenges a little bit. Job security, fear of failure. So they also fear about failing. And again, it's correlated with about societal pressure. If they failed, society not or their environment not welcome what they are doing. And knowledge lacks of proper funding and finance. As I mentioned at the beginning, Lithuania has huge potential in rural areas, rural entrepreneurship. And when I check these policies and programs, there are also many programs that they provide funding. But when we discuss with young women, they don't know about this proper funding opportunities, and they don't know how they can manage with finances. So these are also challenges, personal challenges that they need to overcome. Again, at the end, the motto was, don't be afraid to start. There is nothing to lose. So the main issue here is failure, fear of failure, and lack of knowledge about funding, finance. So they should be aware of the potentials and going forward. And the last theme about future steps, so how we can make it better. They also put comment on this. And research for best business practices, share stories of successful women entrepreneurs, and skill development. So how they can have entrepreneurial mindset and what could be the future steps for them. So when they discuss, they come up with this idea. So they need more research to see best practices and share stories. They need to learn stories of successful women entrepreneurs, and they need also skill development for entrepreneurship, which is needed additional skills, not only teach in schools, but have additional skills. And here was the most important skill that is highlighted: communication. So they need to grow their soft skills. And yes, and another motto was try something new to create a change your life. So they have also ideas, dreams, passions, but they don't know how they can put into a structure for as a business model. So after I received these comments from young women, I come up with this. I analyze these comments and come up with these 3 policy themes and recommendation, which is also correlated with what Francisco told today. And yes, creation of supportive environment, especially in rural areas. As I mentioned, the finding parts, they need an environment that they can talk about entrepreneurship, business. They also, I just briefly comment here, they need cluster to create supportive environment, and creation of association, if possible, in these rural areas. Local networks of rural women, and try to empower their potential. And of course, here also support intergenerational learning, which is also important. When I also doing researches in Lithuania, most of the rural businesses manage like a family business. So it's coming from if your family is doing rural business, you may also continue for that things. When I also read some inspirational stories of Lithuanian women who are successful in business, they always sharing stories from their families. So their family encourage them to go for the rural business. So this is also good that support intergenerational learning. Yeah, bridge the digital gap. This is obvious that in rural areas, digital tools are missing, but we not only providing infrastructure also is very important, but promotion of digital economy models for young women, not only traditional business, not only selling online or selling agricultural crops or organic farming stuff, but how they can digitalize the process. So these are the also important one. And the last one is gender mainstreaming, awareness of gender mainstreaming, social support, encouraging entrepreneurship. So how we can think equal roles, how we can share the roles equally between men and women. This is also something that we need to discuss when we shaping the entrepreneurial roles. As I mentioned at the beginning, this is related with also feminist standpoint theory that women considered as unpaid work, men considered paid work, and then how we can balance between these two. Since Lithuania has more potential on rural areas and also the population higher, women population higher than men. So these are the things that we need to consider about creating an entrepreneurial mindset, especially in young women. So yeah, as a conclusion, by supporting young women in entrepreneurship, not only will economic growth, not only will provide economic growth, but also more inclusive society be promoted. And just as a last comment, this was the strategic partnership project that I was managing. So there was many working packages we created on these projects, also educational videos, interviews with successful women, business women. And we also created a platform that young women can reach this platform and try to develop their skills, what they challenge for, because we created these educational modules according to the challenges that I mentioned, that I presented. So the data collected during this project implementation. So we were normally 7 partners. So we were representing Lithuania, and I was the main manager on this project. So I collected this data and provide as a paper and provide policy recommendation. I think that's all. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Suat. It's very impressive work, piece of work, and a lot of ideas out of it. So now we still have time for the discussion. I'm looking at the audience. Please, any questions, comments, suggestions from online? We still have few people.
What does it mean, young woman?
Yeah, thank you very much for your question. First of all, the percentage of women entrepreneurs that I don't know, I will check Yes. About young women entrepreneurship. So as for, maybe I can tell you a story. I already visit a small village here in Lithuania, and I visit this village with my colleague, and we delivered a presentation in a school. And I noticed that when also we visit her home, mom, I noticed there were ladies everywhere. Yeah, and community leader also. I met with community leader. Community leader was lady, and I just asked to my colleague that in your village there are many ladies. So, I mean, can you put some comment on it? And she told me that there is no women, there is no men in our village. Very little. So that reason, women should be strong in Lithuania, and especially in rural places. So she told me that many job, farming, everything done by us. So I didn't specifically joined this projects. I was managing the project, and then this role gave to me. But I realized that what I wanted to put as a research paper, since there is a potential in Lithuania, especially to empower young women, we should talk about this topic. And as far as I see, from my experience, from these sessions that we conducted, they need inspiration. They need more talk about entrepreneurship. We cannot, when we talk about these opportunities, like funding opportunities and rural areas potential, they were looking like nothing, like they don't even hear about this. So yeah, after I see these gaps, I just want to put a comment on this. Yeah. Mm-hmm. The experience, yeah, thank you for the question. The experience that I, let's say, the social women entrepreneur that I made, mainly selling local products. These two cities, especially in Kaunas and Kaišiadorys, I had experience. About social economy, I couldn't see some models, but the thing is that they are trying to integrate local products and local people to the. They encourage local people to sell their product in their markets, in their shops. So they open up places for themselves, for them to sell their products. Maybe we can also think about the social economic sides, because they are not only considered how they sell their product, they also contribute to the community of their region to sell their products. I saw that type of models, I would say. Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah, exactly. Yes, thank you for the question. I would say not all participant was from rural places. The young women's, not all participant from rural places. So we also, when I'm describing the participants, I already mentioned about young women also who wants to do entrepreneurship. When we let's say collaborating with public bodies and NGOs to reach young women, because to reach young women we collaborated with organizations, and when we collaborated with them, they announced with their networks, and not only not only young women who live in rural areas, but also young women who are in the urban areas but consider about rural entrepreneurship. They join these sessions. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you very much to all participants for a wonderful session. I think lunch is already waiting us outside. Thank you very much for once again for coming here, for your fruitful work, and looking forward for our cooperation in the future.